Hello and welcome to our discussion today on the distribution strategies. We can have the distribution strategies or place strategies. Place as the third component in the marketing mix, okay? By the end of our discussion today, we should be able to identify the types of channels and channel strategies. We should be able to design and manage value networks. And then we should also be able to describe physical distribution, marketing, logistics, and supply chain management. Okay. So, like I said, we can say distribution or place. So, place or distribution is one of the four elements of the marketing mix. And it's a process. Distribution is the process of making a product or a service available to the consumer or the business who needs that product. So, how you make your product or your service available to the consumer is what you call place or distribution. And it can be done directly by the producer or the service provider, or indirectly through channels with distributors or intermediaries. Okay. So decisions about the distribution need to be taken in line with the organization's vision and mission. Okay. The place or issues related to the distribution cannot be handled like on its own. It has to be aligned first with the marketing mix, and then together they should align with the organization strategy. We have said this already. So it's important to develop a coherent distribution plan, all right, in the strategic plan. So place is fundamentally concerned with ensuring that whatever product you have or whatever service you have actually reaches the target consumer, okay, in a way that is efficient. All right, it has to be cost efficient. So if it will be direct and it will be cost efficient, then that's okay. If it will be indirect through distributors or your retailers, and that is what will make it cost effective, then that's fine. Okay. But as much as possible, the distribution should be such that they will be cost efficient. Otherwise, the customer would pay more. And if they are paying more, it's likely to affect your future purchases, because if they identify a competitor who will make delivery easier for them, then they may leave you as a marketer. Okay. So in the case of services, distribution is principally concerned with access. How are people able to access the service, right? So even though distribution, the concept of distribution is simple, it can be sometimes very complicated. Okay. So you can have logistics, transportation, warehousing, storage, inventory management, okay, channel management, and all of that together constitutes the distribution management. So it sounds simple, but it's not as simple as it sounds. Okay. Distribution is very important because one, it ensures customer accessibility. Distribution ensures that your products are made available when the customer needs them. Okay. Distribution also helps you to differentiate your business through the various delivery systems that you have made available. Okay. So it gives you a competitive advantage on the market. Distribution also ensures market expansion, because if you want to enter into new markets and into new geographies, it's the distribution that will help you to get there with your product. Okay. And then it also ensures cost efficiency. We have said earlier that distribution should ensure, or you should make use of the channels that will ensure that there is cost efficiency. So if your distribution system is very good, it will reduce costs. Okay. And then finally, it ensures customer satisfaction. It enhances buying experiences by reducing delays. Okay. So we look at the distribution strategy. The distribution strategy is an overall approach to distributing products or services depending on a number of factors. So it depends on the type of product, whether the product can perish or not, or the level of perishability. Then you also have the market being served, the geographic scope of operations, and the firm's overall mission and vision. Okay. The process of setting out a broad statement of the aims and objectives of a distribution channel is at the um, strategic level decision. Okay, so this is done not at the, it's done at top management actually does this. Okay, so how the distribution channel or how distribution will be strategized in the organization is actually done by top management. Okay. We now look at the approaches to distribution, right? The first one we have here is mass distribution, which is also known as intensive distribution. All right. So here products are destined for a mass market, and the marketer will seek out intermediaries that will appeal to a broad market base. So with mass distribution, the marketer would have to identify some distributors. Okay. And then based on the distributors that have been identified, you serve a broad market base without any specific it's just for everybody. Okay. Then there's selective distribution. Here a manufacturer chooses to restrict the number of outlets handling the product. What this means is that you don't just give to any distributor. Okay, people get to sell your product through selective screening based on some conditions. So as they meet the conditions, you allow them to distribute your product. Okay, and then you have exclusive distribution, where the manufacturer chooses to deal with one intermediary or one type of intermediary. All right. So the advantage of this is that the manufacturer retains greater control over the distribution process. All right. And in exclusive arrangements, the distributor is expected to work closely with the manufacturer and add value to the product through service level after sales care or the client support services. So you realize that mass distribution gives out to everybody. Any distributor who is interested to sell is given to sell. Selective distribution restricts the number of distributors, okay, based on some criteria. And then exclusive distribution limits it further to just one distributor, okay. Then we look at the types of channels for so the channels are a lot. Okay, there are several hands that have to go. The product has to pass through several hands before they actually get to the consumer. From the manufacturer, it goes through several hands before it gets to the consumer. Depending on some situations, all right, the product can move directly from the manufacturer to the consumer without any middleman. In that case, we call it a direct channel. So the channel where you have the product moving from the manufacturer straight to the consumer is a direct channel. Then you have an indirect channel where there are middlemen. So if there are middlemen, then it means that the channel is indirect. Okay, so direct channel where the product moves from manufacturer to the consumer, and then the indirect channel which involves the manufacturer, the consumer, and other indirect entities that will um, come into contact with the product before it gets to the consumer finally. So there are several how will I say, there are several players in indirect channels. Okay, so first we look at the wholesaler. A wholesaler is a merchant intermediary who sells to retailers. So wholesalers sell to retailers, other merchants, or industrial, institutional, or commercial users. But wholesalers will most of the time sell to an entity or an individual who wants to resell. Okay, then you have the retailer. These are merchants who sell to the public. So the retailer sells directly to the public, and the retailer buys from the wholesaler to the public. All right. We can also have agents. Agents are intermediaries who are authorized to act for a principal in order to facilitate exchange. We know agents all around as people who act on behalf of other people to facilitate the transaction. Okay. Then you have a jobber. Jobber is a special type of wholesaler. Okay, and the jobber operates on a small scale and sells only to retailers or institutions. Okay, so the jobber is a kind of wholesaler, but what the level of selling of the jobber is lower than that of the wholesaler, but they all sell to retailers or institutions. Okay, wholesalers and retailers are important middlemen who generally facilitate flow of goods. Okay, so we cannot do without the wholesalers and retailers in the indirect channels. So we look at some characteristics of wholesalers. Wholesalers buy goods directly from producers or manufacturers. Okay, and they buy goods in large quantities and sell in relatively small quantities. They sell different varieties of a particular line of products. Okay, so for a wholesaler, they can have one product in different varieties that they sell. They may employ a number of agents who work for distribution of products. Okay, wholesalers need large amounts of capital to be invested in their business. All right, they also generally provide credit facility to retailers. Okay, so it means that retailers can go and buy from wholesalers on credit. And then wholesalers also provide financial assistance to the manufacturers or the producers. And then in a city or town, they are normally seen to be located in a particular area of the market. Okay, so you know that there are some special areas that you see wholesalers stationed. Wholesalers perform some functions. Okay, they collect goods from the manufacturer in large quantities and they store them. So they collect goods, they store those goods in large quantities in their warehouses, and then they distribute these goods to different retailers. Okay, then they also finance. Wholesalers provide financial support to producers and manufacturers by sending money in advance to them. Okay, they also sell goods to the reseller on credit. So you realize that the um the the wholesaler acts as a wholesaler and also as a financier, and then they also take risks. Okay, the wholesaler buys finished goods from the producer and keeps them in their warehouse until they are sold. And it's very risky. What if those goods are not sold? What happens is that your capital would have been locked or your capital would have been lost, especially if the goods can perish or if the goods can go bad. Okay. All right. Then we look at some of the characteristics of retailers. Retailers have a direct contact with consumers. So they know the requirements of the consumer and they keep goods accordingly in their shop. All right. So sometimes you notice that retailers will not keep too much. Okay. They will not keep more than is necessary. And then retailers sell goods not for resale. So they are not selling to people who will go and resell. They are selling to consumers. All right. Retailers buy and sell goods in small quantities, unlike the wholesalers who buy in large quantities. All right. Then retailers require less capital to start and run the business as compared to wholesalers. And retailers generally deal with different varieties of products and they give a wide choice to the consumers to buy the, the goods. Okay. So the functions of the retailer are to buy and assemble goods. Okay. The retailer also performs some kind of storage of goods, even though the level of storage is not as high as that of the wholesaler, the retailer also stores goods. They also provide credit facility for regular customers or for consumers who patronize their business more. So for such consumers, uh, if you have financing issues, retailers sometimes offer a credit facility to their consumers. And then they provide personal services. Sometimes retailers render personal services to their customers, all right, by providing the advice that they need regarding how to use the product, the quality of the product, okay, how to ensure that it doesn't go bad. All right. All of those are personal services that they offer the consumer. Okay. They also bear risk. All right. The retailers bear risk, even though it's on a lower level as compared to that of the wholesalers. Sorry. The retailers have to bear the risk of fire or theft. All right. Sometimes the goods may go bad, or some of the goods may even go out of fashion. Okay. So they also take on some kind or some level of risk. Another function of retailers is that they display the goods, all right, so that the consumer will be attracted, and as they are attracted and they see it, they'll come and make purchases. And then they supply information to the um the consumers, all right. They also supply information on the customer preferences to the wholesalers, and then the wholesalers in turn would relay the information to manufacturers. So we look at some of the factors which affect the choice of a distribution channel. All right. And um, the first one we look at are product characteristics. So the characteristics of the product will determine the choice of the distribution channel, whether direct or indirect. If it's indirect, how? Okay, so whether or not the product can perish, the size of the product, the weight of the product, how complex the product is, okay, all of those will affect the choice of distribution channel. Another factor is the market feature or the market characteristics. So you look at the location, the geographic location of the product, the customer density, the buying behavior of the consumer, right? And that will inform the choice of distribution channel. Then you may also want to consider the company's objectives. Okay, so the organization's goals, their mission, their vision, the objectives will determine the choice of the distribution channel. Okay, then Competition also affects the choice of distribution channel. And then lastly, you have economic factors as also affecting the choice of the distribution channel. Okay. So for competition, depending on what your competitor is doing, you may have to alter or maintain your choice of distribution channel. And then depending on the economic situation at a particular time, you may have to um, maintain or change the distribution channel that is in use. Okay, so these factors affect the choice of distribution channels of organization. Okay, so we now look at marketing channel management, and this involves selecting, managing and motivating individual channel members and evaluating their performance over time. Managing and motivating other channel members means that you are practicing partner relationship management to build long-term partnerships with other channel members. Okay, so remember that, for example, if we pick the wholesaler and the retailer, they perform some functions. Okay, so you as a marketer should be able to manage the channel in a way that you get the best from that channel. Otherwise, you may have a very good wholesaler, but you may not get the best out of that wholesaler because you are not managing the channel well. All right. We also want to look at marketing logistics or the physical distribution. Okay, so marketing logistics, another name for it is the physical distribution. This refers to the planning, implementing, and controlling the physical flow of materials, okay, final goods, and related information from the point of origin to the point of consumption to meet the customer's requirements at a profit. Okay, this means that you are getting the right product to the right consumer at the right place and at the right time. Okay, so once you look at marketing logistics, we mean getting the right product to the right customer at the right place and at the right time. So you may look at the outbound and inbound distribution. Outbound distribution refers to the distribution from the company to the consumer. That's the outbound distribution. Okay, and that will involve the finished product from the company to the consumer. Then you have the inbound distribution within the channel. So this would require or this involves you, the organization, and your suppliers. So people who are giving you raw materials for your production. Okay, so those would uh, constitute the inbound distribution. All right. And then reverse distribution, where you move returned products. So in a case where you have maybe supplied the wrong product to a consumer, it will be returned. So in that case, it is reverse distribution. Or in a case where your supplier has given you a product that is not what you ordered for, you may also have to return it, in which case you refer to it as the reverse distribution. Okay. All right. So this marketing logistics involves the entire supply chain management. So you manage both the upstream and downstream value added flows of material, your finished goods, and related information among your suppliers, the company, resellers, and then your consumers. Okay. And this can be a source of competitive advantage on the market if it is very efficient, if your marketing logistics or if your physical distribution is very efficient, it gives you an edge on the market. All right. It gives you a higher competitive advantage. On the other hand, if it is not too efficient, then it can affect your brand negatively. Okay. All right. So we look at some of the logistics functions. The first one is warehousing. Okay. Warehousing is where you have a large distribution center. Okay. Um, where the various supplies are kept. All right. So whether finished products or your raw materials, where you keep them is actually the warehouse. Okay. And it's important to fill them efficiently and deliver goods to customers as quickly as possible. What this means is that if you fill the warehouse in a way that if you have to remove one item, okay, it will take you 3 days to get to where the item is. It will be impossible to supply goods quickly to your consumer when they make a request. Okay, so the warehousing has to be efficiently done. Okay, some people actually use softwares to uh, to manage the warehouses, okay, so that if they are looking for an item, you know exactly where to go to find that item. Then you have stock management, which involves deciding on the balance between too little or too much in stock. Okay, so just in time logistics systems involve small stocks while new stocks arrive exactly when they are needed. All right, so that is the just in time logistics system. What it says is that keep in the warehouse or keep or store as much as you need for some time, so that as and when those ones you have kept get finished and you need some more, you can fill in. But don't keep too much. Okay, don't keep too much items in stock. And then you have transportation. Okay, transportation has a way of affecting the price of products, the times that the products are delivered, and the condition of the product at the time it is being delivered. Okay, so transportation can be by road, by rail, by water, it can be by air. Okay, you can also have a combination of any of these modes of transportation. So for example, if you are getting a product from the US, you are likely to combine air carriers, waterways, and the railways and all. Okay, depending on where you are bringing the item from. Then we also look at integrated logistics management, right? Here, it is very important that um, you work as a team, all right? Whether within the company, the marketers, wholesalers, retailers, whoever is a part of the value chain has to be integrated, or they have to be able to work together as a team. Otherwise, the system will be porous. Okay, so in order to maximize the performance of the distribution system, it is important that every member of the team works together. Okay, there's also cross-functional teamwork inside the company, and this requires an integrated and harmonized system. Okay, so it is not just improving the logistics, but it's also important to improve the logistic partnerships. Okay, so that everyone who is a part of the team feels belonged and they work together. All right, there are also third party logistics. Third party logistics providers. And these are independent logistics providers who perform any or all of the functions required to get the client's product to the market. Okay, they often do the delivery at a lower cost and more efficiently, while the company can focus on its core business. Okay, so in a case where the organization cannot deal with the logistics of the business like it has to, all right, in a way that is not efficient, they can be outsourced to other organizations, independent logistics providers, or third-party logistics providers to get this done, right? Okay. So, to conclude, distribution ensures that products are available to customers efficiently. There are different channels that are mostly used. You have the direct channel, the indirect channel, or a combination of the direct and indirect channels to cater for the various market needs. Then, with the indirect, you have intermediaries who play a crucial role in managing logistics and the customer access. Okay. And there are several factors that influence the channel decisions. Factors like the nature of the product, the market conditions, all of which affect which channel will be chosen by the marketer. And then effective logistics and supply chain management are very important for seamless distribution. Okay. So I need you to answer these questions. What are the key challenges in choosing distribution channels for global markets? And then, secondly, I want you to share examples of innovative distribution strategies you've observed. Okay, we'll discuss this in class. Thank you very much. We'll meet again for the next session. Bye bye.